from large areas to small areas. We're painting the values from light to dark. So we can always go darker, but it's hard to go lighter. And we're painting more intense colors at the beginning of the painting, and we gray things down and tone them down as we move through the painting. There's basically 3 phases of a watercolor painting, and I break it down into about 5 so that I don't lose anybody. I slow the process down a little bit more. So what you will get when you're done, I take pictures of every step, still pictures. And what you get after the class is you get the still pictures, and you also get a video to look at to catch up on or to redo your painting. And you're welcome to email that to me at any time for me to look at and critique and give you ideas. Mary, you got to smile while I'm talking. There you go. But I try to have, you can ask any question that you want. I will be watching what you're doing, and after each step, I will be looking at what you've done to guide you a little bit further. So if you have any questions, please yell. Now, the colors we're using today are ultramarine blue, cobalt blue, sap green, yellow medium, which is a warm yellow, and we're using either alizarin crimson or we're using brown madder. Now the brown madder, just to give you an idea of the difference in color, is that the brown madder has a little bit of, if you can see this, has a little bit of burnt sienna in it. Okay, it's kind of a blood red, but the alizarin crimson is a little bit cooler. As you can see, this is cooler and this is warmer. So you can see that this has a little bit of brown in it, and this has a little bit of the coolness to it. So it's closer to the red-violet range. So that's, I use this because the alizarin crimson is a fugitive color, which means it fades fast. So you have to be careful about the color choices that you do, and we can talk about that through the process. Now, I'm going to get started, and you can ask any questions that you wish.
Hey, Dale, this is Pat. Hey, yeah. I can't see your pencil lines at all. I don't know what the problem is.
Too much light shining on the.
All right, we'll take one light off here.
Oh.
There, that's better. Yeah, much better.
I'm gonna put it back where we always have it.
All right, thanks for telling us that, because I can see different things here and you can see different things there, so that's understandable. All right, I'm going to tell you what colors I am painting at what time, and how I cross mix things. I'll show you different combinations of color. So since we're starting off from large to small, we're also taking the large brushes first. Hang on for a minute. I got my technician working.
Dale, the light that you have shining on your canvas now is flickering.
That's the ceiling one.
That's our ceiling light, and
Just a minute, we'll get that fixed. I need to do this.
Is that a little bit better?
Yes, the flickering has stopped.
Yeah, looks good.
Okay.
But you can still see the pencil lines.
Yep.
All right. What my wife is going to do is she's going to mute you. And if you have a question, unmute yourself.
Any more questions before I mute everybody?
No.
At the moment.
I couldn't find that Madden color. Is there something else that can be substituted?
Just a minute. We're having a corgi, Poppy grab something at Dale's. Come on, just pat her on the head and tell her she's a good girl.
Mary does that to me too.
Oh.
Let go.
You want? I'll go upstairs and get you a cookie. She's got a sponge.
I'll take
All right.
I can't drop anything on the floor.
I may have a question.
Yeah.
It is my first time, so I have absolutely no clue what I'm doing. And I have the paint in the tubes.
Yes.
So when you start painting, where do you put the paint? Do you put the paint in in the tray or?
Okay, that's a good question. I have this tray like this. It folds up like that. In other words, like
Okay.
this. And there's various things that people use, but I put the paint in the cells here. Could you get rid of
Okay. Okay.
Need it to shine.
So I have this. Can I just put a color in one of those?
Yes, I always keep them in the same order, and then I do all my mixing on the flat part of the tray here.
I see.
So you don't ever mix in here, you mix out on the flat area. The more flat area you have, the better off you'll be.
Who's
Okay.
I don't know.
Is it Donna? And who's talking? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Oh no. Okay, I was just wondering who's new.
Me, Mariana.
I don't know who was talking now.
I'm Terry and I'm new too on Zoom. I'm trying to see, am I supposed to have my picture up on the thing all the time?
No, what I'm going to ask you is that sometimes I just see you.
Oh, okay.
Then when I ask you to see your painting, you'll hold it up to your camera.
So should I hit the negative or whatever instead of the plus on here? I don't know.
Well, if you want to see the teacher, you put it on speaker view.
Well, and actually, we've got him pinned, so he's always up front and center.
Yeah.
No, actually, he changes every time somebody speaks.
Yeah,
When somebody speaks, they come on speaker.
Okay.
That's right.
okay.
We fix that.
Nope, I'm still seeing everybody but Dale's picture.
I know. I haven't gotten to Dale yet.
Mm.
And I mean, I don't know Dale or your wife, so is it possible to maybe see a face? I'm sorry, I may want to happen a whole lot here.
No problem. I'm all Patty. Dale, you want to go
I'll
stand
stand over there.
over there? Move your painting.
Can you see me
We
now?
see what our teacher looks like. Oh.
Okay,
You have to go.
I have to go down. I'm
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah, oh, I see. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
My
Thank
students who I've had are probably laughing right now.
He's the one with the beard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm coming. Once I get
Marilee
this.
doesn't have a beard.
No. Let me set this up with Dale. Okay, Dale. Spotlight for everyone.
So nice meeting you and
Nice meeting all of you new folks too.
Yes, nice meeting you.
You just hit.
Well, that's all right. Hello.
Oh yeah, hello. A little bit lower. Or yes, here you
Hello.
go. Wonderful. Nice to meet you.
Being here, and then sometime I'll show you Poppy.
Okay.
She's a little renegade. Let me.
Thank you.
All right. So the woman with the issue with the paint tray. Did Dale answer your question?
I don't know. I just put the paint in there, whatever color.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I leave the paint in there when we are done and you just close the
Yes,
tray.
just close it up. You can spray it with a little bit of water. You really just, what I usually do is I close it up. Before I do that, I spray it with a little bit of water. I put a paper towel down and close it up.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
And you always use new paint every time. So
Yeah.
don't fill the cells all the way up.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, a little bit more than a little. You don't want to use it like dippity-do.
So do you want a thumbnail, a fingernail? What?
Thumbnail.
A thumbnail, all right.
Yes.
And all of from the 5 colors you told us to prepare?
Yes, you put out down all 5 colors.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, going
Okay,
back to the brushes.
now the picture needs to come down.
Or camera up.
Yeah, we can't see the top of the picture.
All right.
Good.
Alright.
Nope,
I
too
know.
far,
Up a
down
little.
a little.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah. Yep.
Yay.
Thank you.
We'll get started here soon. Hold on.
So who just signed on?
I did, I'll correct that.
Okay, I'm gonna, if there's no more questions, I'm muting, but if anytime you need to ask Dale something,
So,
I had a question on Madden. I couldn't find that color. Is there something I could substitute with that?
the brown matter.
okay, if you don't have brown matter, you can use alizarin crimson. That's what I was showing you here. This is alizarin, that's brown matter.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Hang on for a minute.
I have to mute everybody now.
When you are using the alizarin crimson, you can always take a little bit of the burnt sienna in the cell, do a little drop in there, mix it up, and you'll end up with this. But if you use just the alizarin crimson, that's fine for this particular painting. So, okay. All right, what we're going to do, and I want to also mention I'm using a toothbrush today. That's in the supply list. If you don't have one, borrow your spouse's, clean it, and put it back. All right, I am going to spray the paper just a little bit. It's not soaking wet, it's just a little bit damp here. And I am going to start by putting in the colors from background to foreground, and I'm going to be working from light to dark, and my colors will be painted from intense to gray. So I'm painting everything in the background at the beginning. So I'm going to take the cadmium yellow medium, and I'm going to take quite a bit of it, and I'm going to take just a little bit of the brown matter, because that will give it a little bit of an orangish glow. And I'm going to start by painting, and I'm allowing things to fall all over the place in this particular painting. I'm not going to worry about where things are going. So I'm going to take a little bit more of the brown matter. And you have to look at this as an adventure. And don't be afraid to make a mess. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. This is something that is a learning experience, so it's a journey. The more mistakes you make, the better off you'll be, believe it or not. So I'm looking at all these places that have the light color to start with, and I'm going to put in and wait just a little bit, but I want to paint down on the bottom here. In the reflection, I'm going to paint all of these colors. And I'm being very loose. Some people say very sloppy looking, which is fine. Doesn't make any difference. And I'm going to take the alizarin crimson or your brown matter. I'm going to take the ultramarine blue, and I'm going to mix up a nice red-violet color. And I'm cross mixing, there we go. And I'm going to paint that right back in here. So I am allowing the colors to blend together, because you want to keep all your edges as soft as you can for as long as you can.
Is that a gray?
That's a blue-violet grayed down a slight bit. Not a whole lot. Now, as it comes forward, I'm going to remix the color a little bit. And I'm going to warm it up just a slight bit. And I'm going to be painting this in a downward motion like so. I'm going to take a little bit of the yellow.
Wait, back up, Dale. What'd you just use?
I use the ultramarine blue and the brown matter, which is the alizarin crimson,
Which warmed it up.
which warmed it up. I'm going to add a little bit of blue in here, or yellow. That's part of the reflection. And then I'm going to use a lot of blue and a lot of the brown matter. And I'm going to go in here, but before I do that, I have a little bit of heavy color starting to drip, and I want to pull that up just a little bit. And I'm going to take this color in on the shoreline. And I'm going to take some of the cobalt blue, and I'm going to add that in here. And then I'm going to allow it just to mesh down as part of the reflection in the water. Now, at that time, I'm going to take a little bit of the spray from the gun here, the spray bottle. And you notice I left a white line there right now. We're going to catch back up with that in a second. And I'm just going to allow this to fall down like so. Now, I'm going to catch this wet, and I will recap this before I stop. I'm going to catch that drip line, and I'm going to take the cobalt blue a little bit, mixed in very lightly, and I'm just going to go along that line right there. Now, that's the first phase, and it's very, very abstract in its look right now, which is fine, but it has an imprint of the scene without all the extra dark. So I started off up here with the yellow medium and the alizarin crimson or brown matter, painted that in various values and intensities, and I came back down to the background here with a grayed down blue violet a little bit, but make sure you have this color overhang here a little bit. Then I came into the yellow down here with the alizarin or the brown matter. Then I did reflection down here. Then I came back and filled in that shadow part of the island. Now, it's important that, and I'm going to kind of just catch this a little bit, it's important that you allow your edges to be soft as much as possible for as long as possible. So you don't want to have any hard edges. You want everything remaining soft. So you can go ahead and start, and I will watch what you're doing as you're doing it, and occasionally I'll ask you to see your painting.
Dale, quick question. This is Linda Beringer. I'm new to you.
Yes.
Were you using your round brush for the whole thing?
I was using the three brushes I use most of the time lately. Is I have these are cat tongue. If you take a look at this, there's three different sizes here. But if I turn it to the side, you can see how narrow it is. Mm-hmm. So it resembles a cat tongue. Now, you can use a 1-inch flat for that, or you can use a very large round brush if you wish. It's really up to you on what you feel comfortable with. But when you're working from large to small, you're always working your large brushes first and your small brushes last.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions?
This is Janet. I have one. Did you mix any water with your paint? And if so, about how much water?
Well, that is something that you'll learn, but I didn't mix a lot of water with the paint because the more water you add, the lighter the value becomes and the less intense it is. You can see my water is not that dirty. You can see through the painting here if you look. I changed my water once or twice during the painting, but I'm not using necessarily a lot of water at this particular point. I put water on the paper by spraying it on, and that allowed me not to have to go back to the water container as much.
Great, that makes sense. Thank you.
Good. So occasionally you can ask questions anytime, but I will be asking to see your painting towards the end where I feel that you should be caught up. You can see that I still have light spots on the paper of the white. That will go away with time. And if you feel like you're lost, you will for a while, so don't feel bad.
Is it cooler in the reflection? It's warmer in the reflection.
It's warmer up here, and it's cooler in the reflection of the island and the cast shadow from the dark of the island. And then I cooled it down a little bit in the reflection of the yellow. Not a lot, but a little bit. So everything's going to seem very loose. You're going to seem like it's out of control. So don't feel bad. This is what it will look like when it's done, only it's reversed.
Dale,
Yes, you have to identify yourself first, please.
oh, it's Mary Vian. I dug up my first painting of this. Are we ready? It's insane. Here we
Oh,
go.
wait a minute. I forgot what it looked like. Go ahead, shoot. Oh, yeah.
So that was the day that you came back and said, have you ever looked at a tree?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I really like trees. He goes, well, I can't tell. So there you go.
All right, you're telling my secrets about what I said to you.
I know. I've been looking.
Good.
Did you take a picture of it yet? You're not done yet.
Well, I will, but.
Okay, I just reminded you.
Dale, it's Diana. You want to take a look?
You're done already, Diane? That's good.
Hey, I've been doing this a while. I know when I can start and when I can't.
All right, let me get down to you. All right, that's good.
Okay.
I have to take this down just for a second to take a picture of it. I'll put it right back up. Now remember, if this is your first painting in watercolor ever, it's not going to hang in the Louvre. It's an experiment. It's a journey. I have many of my paintings from my student years in a landfill someplace.
Dale, Diana again. I have to tell you, one of my friends actually bought 2 of my pictures.
Well, wonderful.
Only for the price of what I did to frame them.
Yeah.
But she wanted them for her new house. So
That's wonderful. Remember, I get 30%.
okay, but since I didn't get anything for the picture part, just the frame, what part do you want?
20%.
Okay, I'll send you $20.
There you go.
Or I'll sign up for your next set of classes.
All right, that's even better.
Dale, it's Mary Vian. Are you teaching this summer at the Palette and Chisel?
Yes, I am.
Oh, so you continue. You're just going to do a continuation.
It is a continuation to the extent of at the end of this session, there's about a week lapse because I'm doing a workshop up in northern Wisconsin, and Marilee has to mow the lawn up there. And then it starts after that. I have 4-week sessions during the summer.
Okay.
It's Dale, Diane again. I still haven't seen the thing at the McCord.
They changed directors over there. It's coming up in, I believe, June.
Right, like the 23rd, 24th, 25th, but it's still not posted.
You could probably call there and ask them.
Okay.
I haven't had a chance. I just got a email yesterday saying that they're at the end of this month or the end of May. Renee, the fellow that is in charge, the executive director, it will be leaving. I'm assuming he went to another job. And a young lady is taking over, so I have to contact her.
Ah, okay. All right. Then I will wait a week or so and then.
Okay, and that workshop will be on rapids and waterfalls, so that you'll get a handle.
Oh, my favorite.
Hi, Dale. It's Deborah.
Yes.
Your blue was that cobalt?
I use the
blue.
ultramarine blue in this
Ultramarine.
area here and in this area here, in conjunction with the alizarin or the brown madder, and then I use the same thing down in here. I used a little bit of cobalt in here very lightly. As you can see, it has a little hint of that blue, but it might not be apparent in the photo.
Okay.
Dale, this is Marianne here.
Yes.
My colors look totally different as your colors.
You want to hold it up for me so I can see it? Okay. The thing, your colors are actually not that bad, so don't worry about it. When you're painting, the most important part of a painting, besides the drawing, is the value, the lightness or darkness, which you're fine. If your color is off a little bit, that's fine. I'm not going to worry about it. But this in here, you want to try to have a little bit more softness to your edges. You got a few hard edges, so we'll need to work on that in the future, not to have anything sharp. I have everything very soft for the most part.
How do I make them soft?
Allow, when you put down the watercolor, to put another passage up against it, and it will bleed into one another as it did up in here and here.
But the color seems more vibrant what I have. Do I need to use more water?
You may have to use more water in the future, but right now, actually, you're going darker where I'm going to go in this next step, so you're fine.
Okay. All right.
Denise, can I see what you got, since you're leaning back, smoking a cigar? All right, that's a good start. Good. I'm going to come along and check everybody at this point to see where you're at. Pat? Okay, that's wonderful. That's where you want to be. This is a very abstract phase of your painting, so you're doing nothing to be direct and decisive about anything. Mary, how you doing? Good. Okay, wonderful. Jermaine, how are you doing? All right, not bad. Okay, good. You're getting there. remember, if this is your first time, it's not going to be perfect. Trust me. Grace. Okay, we're going to get a little bit more intense up in here, Grace. You might be using a little bit too much water. Must be the warm weather out there that makes the color dry lighter.
It dries super fast, I have to say.
Yeah, because
Want me to go back in now and add some more, or?
You can, yes, very quickly, because I know you have drier weather out there than what we have here. Okay, Mariana, I've seen yours. You're fine. Deborah, how are you doing? Okay, good. That's where you want to be. Linda, can I see yours if you can hold it up for me, please?
Yes, hold on.
All right, you're fine. That's good.
Okay.
There's not too much wrong you can do at this stage. So you have to breathe while you're painting, and you also have to give yourself a little bit more credit than what you're thinking you're giving yourself. So you're fine.
How'd you know I wasn't breathing?
I'm watching people. Diane, do you have anything else to show me at this point?
Nope, I haven't done anything
Okay.
else.
Teresa. Okay, that's fine. Teresa, were you in my Dillman's class 2 years ago? You got to unmute yourself. Can you unmute yourself? I can't hear you. I still can't hear you. Okay, I'll come. Oh, there you are. Okay. All right, you could. I don't know where she went now. Okay.
You can just hit this, you can hit the space bar on your keyboard and hold it down, and that will unmute you while you talk.
I just lost her completely.
On the iPad, that is different. She's on an iPad.
All right, I'll have to come back to her. Mariana, I looked at yours. Deborah, Linda, Diane. Beth, can I see yours, please? Don't grit your teeth.
Okay, I got it.
I got a little overwhelmed for a moment.
All right, you're fine. There's a reason why I picked this subject matter. Not only knowing new students are coming in, but this is very abstract. There's no perspective drawing as far as linear drawing for buildings and so forth. So it's a little bit easier to handle. So don't worry. Vanessa.
So, like when you're demonstrating, I should be sitting and watching you.
Yes.
And I decide to start painting with you.
Yes, you should be watching. Yeah, watch what I'm doing, and then I'll recap what I've done, and then you start.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
So I caught a few of you cheating.
I don't know if this will help anybody, but what I like to do is when Dale's talking and he's going through all the colors that he's using, on the sketch drawing that is part of the reference materials, I write down, little initials like CAD yellow plus, brown matter or whatever on the painting, just to give myself a little reminder.
Yep, that's always a good thing to do.
Yeah.
Okay, Vanessa. Thank you, Pat. Okay, you're good. Julie? Okay, good. Janet, looks like you've got something going fine. You're good. I can see it from here. Wonderful. Donna, how are you doing?
Can you see that?
Yes. Okay. Try to keep that blue edge up here on the right-hand side softer. Take a damp brush and go across that.
All right.
Okay, back to you, Teresa. I see you now.
Okay. Okay. Should I turn it back to the painting?
Yes, please. Okay, you're fine. You're good.
Okay.
Were you in Dillman's 2 years ago was my question?
I was supposed to go. I was the one that had the cellulitis like you.
Okay, gotcha. All right, good. Okay, if you'll mute yourself again, I'm going to start. And if you have any questions, please unmute yourself. All right.
Oh, okay.
We're going to go back into the background again. Now, for the new people, to make sure that your paper is dry, you feel it with the back of your hand, not the palm, because you have oil on it. So try not to feel it with the palm of your hand. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into the island again. I'm going to use the yellow medium, and I'm going to take a little bit of the sap green. And I'm going to take a little bit more of the yellow medium because I want this to be a little bit more brighter in here. And I am adding this very quickly. And I'm allowing it to just stay in one area. And I'm going to add a little bit more yellow to this and a touch of the brown matter and a little bit of the cobalt blue. Just, it kind of grays it down a little bit. And I'm going to come back here. And what I'm doing is I'm dry brushing the paint in here. And you can see I'm still working fairly light. And I'm going to add a little bit more green at this point to this. And I'm going to add it in here. And I'm just allowing the brush to drag across the paint. So when I mix up a color, I take the brush and I dry it off on the paper towel, just a little bit, tap it off. And then what I'll do is I will drag the brush so that it's called dry brushing, or technical term scumbling. I never liked the word scumbling because it reminds me of stumbling. But you're dry brushing this, and the amount of texture on the paper will allow more texture, or this has less texture, will show less texture. So it depends on the paper of what you're doing and how it's going to look. So at this point, I'm going to take the toothbrush. I just wet it a little bit. I'm going to take the sap green, like so, and I'm going to mix it up with a little bit of the cobalt blue, and I'm going to hit this in here with this. And just enough to make a little bit of green statement in there. Then I'm going to take the brush just with water on it, and I'm going to soften that. So the water will allow it to blend with what I put down originally. Now I'm going to take some more of the yellow here. It has a little bit of green in it, and I'm going to put that through here. And I'm just dry brushing it. So I'm not covering all the paper. There's still the original wash showing through. And again, I'm going to take a little bit more of that and some of the brown matter. I want to get this a little bit more orangey. So it's a matter of layering the watercolor. And I got a nice yellow orange here, and I am going to put it right in here and a little bit over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the spray bottle here very lightly, and I'm going to hit it. And this will help give me a little bit of texture showing up there. Then I can control it with the brush a little bit. And I'm going to take some pure yellow medium, and I'm going to go along through here, out to here, to the edge, and I'm going to feather it into what I'm seeing out here with a little bit of the red up in here, like so. So that I've made another impact of color here. And then I'm going to go out to the background, and that's where I'm going to stop at this particular point. But let's get to the background first. So every once in a while I have to clean my palette off so that I don't get muddy color or unclean color. And I'm going to take the ultramarine blue, and I'm going to take the brown madder, or you're going to take the alizarin crimson, and right when it's still damp, I'm going to start blocking this in the background. And if I feel that the edges are too sharp here, you can take your toothbrush just with water on it, and I can go in and soften this, and keeping that edge on the softer side. Then I'm going to bring this down into here. I'm going to add a little bit of green at this point because we do have some pine trees on the opposite shore. I'm going to bring that in like this and across on the bank on the other side. Still keeping that light look to that. Then I'm going to add some more of the brown matter to it with the ultramarine, so it's a much warmer color. Got a little bit of drip going on here, but not a problem. And I warmed this up here, allowing for this warmth up on top of the painting on the opposite shore. And then I'm going to use a little bit of water, like so. And I'm still allowing parts and pieces to show through from the previous wash. And what I'm going to do with my brush is I'm going to come in here and kind of give it a little bit of a softness to it. And I'm going to sneak a little bit of dark on the shoreline here. So that you can begin to see the picture come into view ever so softly. So this is the base of the island. And I'm doing it kind of on the softer side. I don't want to commit myself too much. And I'll just take a damp brush and go across the bottom like so. And I want to bring this up a little bit more at this point. So we're getting the base of the idea down here, and then I'm just going to allow it to fall very softly into the reflection of the island, and then take a clean damp brush like so, and we're going to leave it alone like that. So just to recap, I took the yellow medium with a little bit of the brown matter, mix it up as kind of a red-orange, more yellow up in here. Then I added some green and more yellow, and I had different combinations of these colors going all the way across, but I added a little bit of green in here with the toothbrush and allowed it to run. And then I came over here and added the blue-violet with the brown matter and the ultramarine blue, and I started adding more of the brown matter to it to get to a red-violet, and came down to this part down here, and I added just a touch of green in here. Then I came back to the island because we're going to commit ourselves more for delineation of what's going on here in the next phase. So you can go ahead and start that. I know it looks like it's crazy and out of control, but that's the way these things look sometimes. So I'm going to take this down for a quick picture, and then I'll put it right back up. And if you have to change your water every so often, please do, because you don't want to paint with dirty water.
Dale, Diana, could you run through what you did after the green again? I must have zoned out.
You kids nowadays.
I know.
What I did after the green here is I continued with the yellow medium and started adding a little bit more of the brown matter to it. Came over here, and then I painted the blue violet in here with the brown matter and the ultramarine blue, and then added more of the brown matter to it to get a red violet, and then just let it creep down. Then I just hit it with a little bit of the green back in there, not too much.
Okay. And the island was the brown matter, the cobalt, or the ultramarine?
Ultramarine. Okay. And I just kind of started to create the ridge in here and then let it fall down into the reflection in the water. Excuse me.
Gail, what did you do at the bottom right there where where the lake or the river or whatever meets the bank at the bottom? Yeah.
I
No,
left
no,
that
to your left. To your left.
over here. I
Yeah,
started
down at the
adding
lower.
some of the blue violet in here, and just allowed it to drip down. But I wanted to
Just
kinda
let it.
start the sculpting of the mound on the island.
Okay.
I just want to mention that we always do detail last. So you're not playing with anything little. You're not playing with anything with any description. So don't be tempted. I'm catching.
Like talking to me.
Yes, I was. I know your habit by now.
Okay, so can I show you and see if I should just stop and be where I am?
You certainly can. Okay, your color up in here needs to be more intense. Use your more yellow medium with a touch of the brown matter and less water. So get it fairly bright. You want this to sparkle.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey Dale, it's Pat.
Yes.
Would you look at, I think I've got too much green up at the top.
No, you're fine.
Okay, is that all right?
Yeah, you're fine because it's going to go a little bit darker, which will mute it.
Okay.
'Cause what I'm going to do next is I'm going to do something a little bit different with the painting so that these yellow oranges and yellow greens will have a little bit of twinkle to them before we start back in. So I'm going to do this part and then back here and then out front again. So you're fine, not a problem.
All right.
Dale, Marianne here. Can I show you where I'm at?
Yes.
I just see.
All right, you're fine. Good.
It's a little bit heavy on the dark, right?
Yeah, what I'm going to do up in here next, Will, you're not that heavy on the dark back here. It could be a little bit lighter, but don't touch it right now.
Okay.
You're best off leaving most of it and then adjusting things later around it.
Okay, and I have one other question because I have two yellows and it looks like the yellow that I use, it's the cadmium yellow medium, and then the other one is Windsor yellow, and that looks more like your yellow, the Windsor.
The Windsor yellow is a yellow medium. That's the Windsor Newton.
Can I use that?
You can use that or the cadmium yellow medium. One of the things that I've done in the last few years is that I've omitted certain colors out of my color repertoire that I use. And the cadmium medium yellow or any cadmium color has a tendency to have a little bit of a poisonous level to it. I've been using it for years, and I haven't grown my ears any longer with it. But it's something that I've gone to a paint brand called Core. That's Qor, and they have a real nice yellow medium called Dairy Lied Yellow medium, and it doesn't have the cadmium in it.
I see.
but I still use it. I have cadmium yellow in my drawers and I still use it. But there's warm yellows and cool yellows. And if you look at a yellow chart, there's all sorts of various temperatures of yellow as they would be in a paint store. So when I started painting years ago, I would use different colors than what I'm using now because of what I was taught. As I moved through my career, I've had personal choices of preferences of this color as opposed to that color.
Sure, sure. So I may want to use then the Winsor yellow. That is a little,
I think you're fine for today.
okay. Yeah.
This is your first experience basically with me.
Right.
I try to talk about the tubes of color and so forth. I try to talk about different variations. Let me get the core watercolor chart. This is the name brand that I use, and it's made by Golden Colors, and they invented the acrylic paints back in the 40s, actually, I think. But this is the watercolor chart, and you can see up here at the top different variances of yellows all the way to about here. And as we pass right here, these become warm yellows, and these here are cool yellows. So there's a temperature change. But this chart that they send you is fairly accurate compared to other charts of what colors are represented in their tubes, where when I go to the store to buy something new or something different, I usually open up the tube, put it on the back of my hand to see what color it looks like, kind of like what ladies do with their makeup. And I want to see what I'm buying.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I went to the Blick store actually to get all the stuff what I needed.
Yeah. One of the things that upsets me about the Blick stores is that every different store carries different material.
Yeah.
And I've gone to a couple stores looking for a particular thing I know they have, but they didn't have it at the store, they have it at another store. Well, I want to be at a place that has everything. So I usually order from Cheap Joe's out of North Carolina. And it takes 4 or 5 days, maybe 6 days to get your material, but they're very reliable.
Okay, and it is Cheap Joe's?
Yeah, Cheap Joe's.
Okay.
I've been using them probably for about 5 years straight. Occasionally I would order from Dick Blick's, but not too much anymore.
I see. And it is in South Carolina, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they get it here very, very rapidly, even into Indiana where I'm at right now.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay, I'm going to come along and check and see where everybody's at here. I'm going to start with Donna. You want to show me what you have? Okay, good. You can work a little bit more wet, Donna, so that things are more blended and fluid that's being put together here. But try to work with a little bit more water.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Teresa, how are you doing? Okay, you're fine. All right, not bad. Julie, how are you doing? Okay, you can even get your color much more intense in here. Remember, this is fall in its wonderful glory. So try to get your color a little bit more intense on the island. Less water, more color. Okay. Let's go. Janet, so far so good. I can see what you have. Later on, I'll ask you to hold it up to the camera a little bit closer, but you're good. Wonderful. Janet, have you had previous watercolor experience?
Yeah, but not Not, yes,
Yes,
but I wouldn't say I'm great at it.
well, it took me a while, so don't feel bad.
Yeah, so I'm still a beginner, way, way beginner.
Well, the learning curve is always different for everybody, so don't overjudge yourself. Don't be too critical, but you've got a good start. Okay, Vanessa. Okay, good. You can probably get your color a little bit more intense on the island. Don't be afraid to really plop it in there for this particular part. Beth.
Oh, lay down. Oh, no.
Okay, good. You got your color bright. Wonderful. Have you had previous watercolor experience?
A little, and it was much more of a free, like loose flowers and things like that. So this is totally new to me, the way this is done.
Well, the procedure I use is pretty standard in most cases. The procedure I use for teaching newer students, it's something that they're not used to because they're handling in other watercolor classes small parts and pieces, and your painting won't manifest itself correctly. But you're fine.
This is pretty cool. I'm enjoying it. Thanks.
Okay, good. Diane, how are you doing?
Hang on. Can you see it?
Yep. All right. That edge right here against the fall color in the background.
Right.
See if you can soften that with a damp brush.
Okay.
Linda. Okay, good. You're getting there.
I feel like I just have sections of color. I'm having trouble with the dry brush, and then I couldn't figure out where to take the toothbrush and use that.
You'll catch on to that part as we move through the course here, the 5 weeks. I use the water with the toothbrush. I've used the toothbrush with color to spray it on. I use it a lot for adding texture or softening edges just with water. So you have to kind of watch what I'm doing and see how it works for you. But you're fine. Deborah. Okay, you could still get more yellow, orange in the front part of the island right here. Yeah, right there. Don't be afraid to sock it in. And Mariana, how are you doing again? I want to see it. All right, you're fine, good. Okay. Grace, how are you doing? You still need to punch up this yellow and yellow-orange. Don't be a chicken.
Okay. Just looks so overworked. I'm looking at it, I'm just like, what the heck? You know, it just looks...
Well, like I said before, the only thing that happens is you ruin a piece of watercolor paper if it's wrong.
Okay.
Nobody dies in the process. Jermaine.
All right.
All right. You're fine. You got your colors bold. We can work it from there. Mary. Okay, good. Good. And Denise? Okay, fine. That's wonderful. Are you in downtown Chicago?
I'm in downtown Milwaukee right now.
Milwaukee?
Yeah, my husband's working up here for a few years, so I come up occasionally just to keep him company.
I was looking at the skyline behind you and I thought it was Chicago, but when you're in the city, it all looks the same. Okay, I could see that lakeshore there. You got a nice view. That looks like 94 that cuts through just south of you. Okay. and Pat. Okay, good. We're getting there. Wonderful. All right, we're going to start again. And what I'm going to do is that this here is fairly dry. It's a little bit on the cool side. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay the watercolor flat because I don't want any running. So I'm going to lay it flat like this somewhat. And I'm going to take the spray bottle and I'm going to just lightly spray this up in here. And I'm going to leave it there just for a few seconds. And I'm going to take a paper towel that I've dipped in the water and I'm going to roll it up so that you can see that what it has done here. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to rag roll it like so. And I may repeat this one more time, but I'm going to show you what it does. And this is what's going to give us a little bit of sparkle in the woods. You can see the sparkle show up here. And I'm going to do this one more time off on this side. And I'm barely even tapping the spray bottle. Just leave it there for a second. And I am going to pick up some of the color there, like so. So you can see that I ended up with a texture that I was looking for. And I'm going to make sure that I've got it all the water up with a drier piece of paper towel. And
sorry, Dale, did you use a wet paper towel or damp?
I dipped it in the water and then I rolled it up and then I rolled it across this so that it picks up the things that I'm looking to make it sparkle in these certain areas. Okay. The other thing I want to do while it's flat is I'm going to take the toothbrush and I'm going to add a little bit of water along the edge of the area here into the dark, and I'm going to pull that up just ever so slightly, and I'm going to repeat that till I get what I want. So I'm just taking the toothbrush with water, and the longer you let it sit there within 10-15 seconds, the more it's going to allow me to lift. Okay, so we got a little bit of softness going on up here. And I'm going to take the smaller cat tongue brush here, this one. And
Dale, can you show one more time with the toothbrush? What did you do with the toothbrush?
I just hit it up in here with the toothbrush, laying it flat.
I see.
And then I hit it with the water and let it sit there for about 5 to 10 seconds and then lifted with a dry paper towel by pushing down and pulling up.
I see.
So you get that laciness of the leaves coming out.
Okay. Thank
I'm
you.
going to take the brown madder or your alizarin crimson. I'm going to take a little bit of the ultramarine blue. So I get kind of a reddish violet. And I'm going to be taking, and I'm going to dry brush this in so that I tap it off on my paper towel like this, just a little bit, and I'm going to dry brush that in there so that it has a very soft look to it. So I'm going to take a little bit more and dry it off, and I'm going to dry brush this in the background here so that the leaves will start to show up. And if I have to, I'll just kind of tease in a little bit of that dark. I don't want it real dark, but I want it darker than what is next to it. So I have the leaves showing up there. And I'm going to take a little bit more of the ultramarine blue and I'm going to, excuse me, dry brush this up in here in the corner a little bit darker. And I'm going to kind of sculpt the edges of this so it goes in and out. So I add a little bit more blue, And if I want to take the toothbrush with this color on it, and add a little bit more blue to it, and I can take and I can put this in here so that it kind of gives that feathery, lacy look that I'm looking for the leaves. And I'm going to take a little bit of ultramarine blue and cobalt and a little bit of the brown matter. And I'm going to start painting this in a little bit darker, a little bit bolder, off in the background here. And I'm painting very carefully up against the edges here. So I still have that frilliness of the leaves in here. And I'm going to take a little bit of the olive green, or not the olive green, the sap green to get a bluish green, because I need to show some of the pine trees in the background, or the shore, the further shore out. And I'm just doing this very quickly so that all my edges back here remain soft. Timing in watercolor is very important, so I'm not putting things in too far apart. And I'm going to take this wet toothbrush and I'm going to add a little bit of softness to this. So every time I add water, it will soften it. So I'm going to go back up against the branches here, dry the brush off a little bit, and I'm going to come in here very carefully, and I'm kind of dotting around to keep the formation of the leaves so that you're starting to see that leafy feeling. Then I'm going to come in with a little bit darker, and I'm just softly dabbing around here, and if I need to, I'll take a damp brush and soften that so that I have the background put in. And I'm going to go back and remix the ultramarine blue and the brown matter, and I'm going to put this down in here so that the background now will start to fall back. Now, anything that is dark will recede, and anything that is light comes forward. You can see what's happening with the trees here. So I'm kind of very carefully forming the shoreline here, just ever so softly. And I'm going to go to a little bit bigger brush, and I am going to add some of the same colors together with the sap green, and I am going to paint this reflection here and adding some green. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the toothbrush just with water on it, and I'm going to allow it to simply reflect down, because reflections go down into the water. And I'm going to take a little bit of the cobalt blue here because I want to get rid of that light line back there and that reddish look here. So I'm just allowing it to fall down. Then I'll take the yellow, a lot of the yellow, and I'm going to put that down in here so that you'll start to see light that was up above it. And then the next thing I'm going to do is the shoreline and then the reflection. So I'm going to be very heavy, so I'm going to clean my palette off. And I am going to start by adding the ultramarine blue, the brown matter, and I'm going to be very carefully sculpting out the land on the island. So I'm going to add a little bit of cobalt blue out in here, and a little bit more of the brown matter. And I'm being very careful every 3, 4, 5 brush strokes to change the color or the temperature so that it's not the same from here to here, but it is in darkness. And I'm gonna kind of dry brush this up in here so I don't end up with a sharp line going into the woods. I'm painting the bottom of the island here. And I'm adding different blues and different violets together. I'm adding a little bit of the yellow in on it, just a tad. And I want to get a little bit darker as I move over here. And I'm not worried about the trees, the trunks of the trees. We'll add those later. I'm going to take some cobalt violet and I'm going to go across the bottom a little bit in this here, like so. And then I'm going to do the reflection. And I'm doing this very briefly because I don't want to put too much emphasis on that reflection. I just want to show how the reflection reacts from the island. So you can start to see this taking place here at this point. And I'm going to clean the palette again, because now I'm going to go into the brighter yellow that's being reflected into the water. So I have a lot of yellow on here. I'm going to use a little bit of the brown matter, and I'm going to paint this down here and allowing this just to kind of fall down. It's wet. And I'm going to take the toothbrush with just the yellow in it. And I'm going to paint this out here so that this yellow will give me the reflection of what's up above here. And I'm painting a lot of the yellow down here. And I'm going to add a little bit of the brown matter to it in here to get a little bit more orangey in the water. And then the last thing is that I have to assume where the trees are going to go. So I'm going to kind of plan the trees ahead at this point. So I'm taking the ultramarine blue and the brown matter, and I'm mixing this back and forth on the palette. And I know there's going to be a tree here, and there's going to be some trees in here. So I'm doing the reflection of the trees before I'm doing the trees, which is, you would think that it's backwards, but it's not. And then I'm going to take the spray gun, and I want this to all soften up. And I'm lightly spraying this ever so lightly. And I'm going to add a few more trees in of reflection. So you have the feeling of everything going on or what's going to go on above, and that's where I'm going to stop. Love these people that call in the middle. Okay, so just to recap, I went in here and I sprayed this with water when it was flat. Then I let it sit there for about 10 seconds, and then I took a wet paper towel and I rolled it up and I rolled across there to pull up all these light spots, which will help that twinkle a little bit more light. Then I went back and I sprayed this edge here, did the same thing. Then I teased in that dark in here, and then I added the ultramarine blue and the brown matter up in here, a little bit more brown matter, and I added more blue, and then I started adding green as I came down, and then I hit the shoreline here. In same color down here reflecting in, and then I came across the island down into here with some of the same color, and then I hit this down here with a lot of yellow and yellow orange. Then I very quickly, while this was wet, I put the reflections of approximately where the trees are going to be. Okay, you got 2 minutes, go. Just kidding. I'm gonna change my water route, so hang on. Whoever doesn't have themselves muted, could you do that? Because otherwise we're getting this back noise. be right back. Don't go away. Okay, I'm back. If anybody has any questions. I'm going to take this down for a minute to take a photo of it. And I'll get it right back up to you.
Dale, it's Diana. When you did the reflection off the island, was it the same color?
I used this was a little bit more blue of the island here.
Okay.
In other words, from the shore. And then I used the yellow, orange through here.
Right.
I did tone it down a little bit than what's in the photograph for the fact that up in here is going to be the focal point. But then while this was still wet, I brought the trees down just a little bit. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. There's no question is too silly, believe me.
And then you sprayed the reflection to let it drip, right?
Yes, I did. Just ever so little bit, not too much. Just enough of it so that it will blend and soften. Because you don't like a reflection to be too much in focus and too perfect, because it will take away from what's up above it.
Did you help it run at all with a brush, or?
No, I just put them in while it was wet and it just softened by itself. Grace, I lost your visual. There you are. Don't hide.
I went to get a banana.
Oh,
Thought it would help my energy.
okay. Still remember, you're trying to keep all your edges as soft as you can to a great extent at this point. Nothing is too defined. You have to smile and breathe while you're painting.
Did it say that in the brochure? I don't remember that part.
Yes, it's in the hieroglyphs down at the bottom.
Ah, okay.
Dale, what, so refresh me on what's happening with the tree and the reflection on the right to this big, right
here?
Over. Yeah, there.
Well, what I did is I implanted the dark up in here with the red violet down to blue violet and some of the green mixed in. Then I brought that color down here with a little bit more blue violet, and while that was wet, I hit it with a little bit of green down in here, not much. I don't know if you can see that. And then I hit it with a little bit of the yellow green down here.
Okay.
Does that help?
Kind of.
But I'm trying to keep everything kind of just soft in the background so that that falls back, and this is the part that's going to come out.
Hey, Dale, it's
Yes.
Pat.
Yeah.
Why did you choose to use the green in the lower
Here?
right-hand corner? Yeah.
I use that because in the photograph, there's a little bit of description of the reddish orange, yellow orange.
Right.
I thought that it would take it off too far. So I took some of the feeling that was up here, much lighter down here, because I'm going to have this area pop out a little bit more. And if I use that over there, it would kind of conflict
So you
a little
want
bit.
more of a contrast between what's right next.
Exactly.
Okay.
That was the only reason I did that. It actually, in the photograph, it does that, but in a different color.
Right, right. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. be right back again. Got to make sure the dog's not running around crazy. I'm going to come along and see how you're doing. We'll start with you, Pat, if you don't mind. Okay, good. The only thing I'm going to say is that your trees that are reflecting in, they're very equally spaced. See if you can modify that to make it look more unequal, more natural. Denise, how are you doing? Okay, good. You're where you need to be. Wonderful. Pat, did you have a question?
No.
Okay. I just saw you unmuted yourself. I thought you may have had one. Mary, how are you doing? Okay, good. That's much better than what you did last fall.
After $1,000, it should be, right?
The workshop wasn't $1,000.
Well, I know. Well, that workshop wasn't, but I mean, if you continue all year, it better get better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. That's all right. You're learning.
Oh, I love it. I'm happy. I mean, I would never sell any of these, but you know,
I just like the looseness that you handle it. It's different than everybody else, and I like the way that you do things. So everybody's different, which is fine. That's good.
It's good.
Not bad from 34 years ago.
Oh, please. Well, hopefully I'll be able to continue when I move into the home.
Okay, that's good. Just don't get in a rocking chair, the water spills.
I'll try not to. I'm not bringing one of those. I can't handle a rocking chair.
Oh, it gives you rhythm when you're older.
Well, what about one of those mobilized wheelchairs, though?
There you go.
Those things they have at the grocery store.
Yeah. I haven't had to use one yet, thank you.
Wow, you just had a birthday, right?
I know, I turned 68.
I know, it's amazing. I always thought in class that you were like a much older qualified guy.
What when
when I was younger.
Oh, yeah, well, I was younger too.
I know. But I always thought, oh yeah, he knows so much. He's such a good teacher. He's so much older, but you were actually younger.
I was in my 30s, my dear.
Oh.
Okay, Jermaine, how you doing? Jermaine, there we go. Okay, you're a little bright on your colors, but we'll get you cross mixing them as we go through the course here. But you got the patterns fine. Okay. Mariana. how you doing?
Well, I'm doing all right. I don't know if my painting is doing okay.
All right, you're not bad. Your background on the right-hand side in here is a little bit on the dark side,
Yeah.
but we can make compensation on the island for that, so don't worry.
Okay.
And you need a
Yeah.
picture on the wall behind you anyway, so you put that in the frame when you're done.
Right.
There you go.
Well, I'm not so sure about the colors I have. It seems it is much darker as what you show on your painting. So
I might be using a little bit more water than what you are.
yeah, that is a possibility.
So there's a learning curve in watercolor that the right amount of water, the right amount of pigment, the timing of going back into it. There's all sorts of things that you're, I'm going to say, battling at this point, but it's you'll get it eventually. Don't worry.
Yeah, just the technique a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, then also you add the other color to it. Do you go with the same brush in another color and get the color?
I know, I know. You'll get used to it.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Deborah, how are you doing? Okay, good. You're where you want to be. Wonderful.
I think I had problems with the ragging technique this time. It didn't I didn't get that laciness that you were
You may have
talking
not
about.
sprayed on enough water or left it on long enough.
Okay.
But you're all fine. You're fine. Okay, Linda, how are you doing?
Oh, okay.
All right, not bad, not bad. You're getting there. It's going to take a little time, like I'm telling all the new students, to where you're starting to understand a little bit more.
Yeah, and I can't remember everything that you do, so I'm just.
You're too young for that.
I'm not that young.
Well, why don't you try what Pat had suggested and writing down the color combinations at least to start, to give yourself a little bit better kickstart on this.
Yeah, I have the same problem, Mariana. I have the same problem with, you know, it goes too fast. There are too many new things to think of. And so, but I'm not worried about it. I will get it at some point.
Yeah, just take some notes. You'll be fine.
Thank you.
Diana.
I had to stand up so I could get a different perspective.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you're good.
Okay.
And Beth?
Yeah, my splatter got a little out of control. And my sparkle didn't really happen either.
Huh. Did you keep it flat and spray it and leave it on there for about 10 seconds or so?
I did, but I'm gonna keep playing with it. What I like is that we're gonna get a video of this. And
Oh, yeah.
so I'll go back and take notes.
That's
Again,
one of the things that my wife came up with that idea to do a Zoom class. I think it's important to have a recap to catch up to what I was doing, because I know 2.5 hours goes by very quickly. And to look at the video or to even repaint it, it gives you that chance to do that. So you're getting the class all over again as many times as you want. So it's not a problem.
yeah, and especially for us beginners, it's nice. It's going to be really helpful just to go back and look at it again and keep trying.
Oh, definitely. Even the people that have been in the class for a while still go back and retry. So don't feel bad.
I always have to redo it, and the videos and then the pictures also, because then I can kind of say, all right, I'm supposed to be at this stage. So I look at the photo.
Exactly.
All right, and see, all right, let's get to this stage, and then I'll go back and I can click through, like, how did you get to that particular stage when I'm.
Right.
Those are helpful too.
And when I was a student in watercolor class, I was kind of a slow learner. I had taken oil painting for a year to learn my color mixing and so forth, but I decided to change to watercolor because I was going to illustration. I needed things dry and ready for the next day if I had to deliver that. And it took me 5 months to get one good painting 5 days a week, and sometimes 2 or 3 paintings a day during the week. I did a lot of small paintings. Most of them ended up in the landfill. So the learning curve is different for everybody. So don't feel too defeated.
Is it better? I know I'm working on a big paper. Is it better to start smaller?
This is a quarter sheet, and that's usually what we worked on in the watercolor class from the large sheet. I do small studies and so forth, as I've showed you in the past, for ideas for larger paintings. I just finished, let's see where that one went. Hang on, here it is. My wooden leg fell off. I did this small rough of an idea that I want to do for a larger painting. And then what I did is I created the larger painting, adding figures into it in the middle of the road. But I do a lot of this on scrap pieces of paper that I've painted, sometimes on the other side, sometimes not. But it gives me an idea of a direction, color variations, values, that I need to do. So when I did the final, I had the road coming out straight here, and I decided to put the road curved and put some figures in here, and I added a little bit more interest back in here from the original. So I created a little bit more depth in this area here. But you get ideas, and I don't know of anybody that doesn't do this most of the time. Okay. I need to get to Donna. Can I see yours? I'll come back to you in a minute, Janet. Okay, good. Much better. You're getting there. It's a slow process. Donna started a couple sessions ago, and now she's starting to get control of what she's doing. Good. Janet, you're doing fine. Could you hold it up? All right. All right, that's good. Vanessa? Okay. We're getting a little bit dark up in here and the island here. We're going to add a little bit more value changes in there later, but you're fine. Let's see. Julie, how are you doing? Okay, great. Good. Teresa?
Oh, yeah, I'm just wondering, everybody's talking about the papers not working. I'm on 140 and you're on 300 pound, right?
Okay, yeah.
So maybe that's making a difference with not being able to get the lacing.
It makes a little bit of the difference, but not much. The 140 paper, how do you have it taped down? Can I ask?
Oh, yeah, just like taped. Well, taped, stapled and taped.
Okay, all right. When you use 140 pounds, since it is a lighter weight paper, you just really need to tape it across the top and two tabs on the side, so that it doesn't buckle, because that will expand and contract more than the 300 pound.
Okay.
But you're fine.
All right.
Okay, good.
It looks a little muddy, but this is my first one with you, so I'm going to play later.
I painted a lot of mud as a student, so don't feel bad. Okay, Grace.
Lots of mud.
All right, you're fine. You're getting there. Okay, good. All right, we're going to start again then. Everybody's where they should be. And I am going to go in and start putting in some of the darks in the island. And I am going to use my middle cat tongue brush, not the biggest one. And I'm going to take the sap green and some of the ultramarine blue, so you can see what I've got here. And I'm going to add just a touch of the brown matter to gray it. A little bit more ultramarine blue. And what I'm going to do, I've got this wonderful darkish green, is I'm going to dry brush it on there so that I can get showing the light in between or what's behind. If I can press down on the brush more, I can show you that it fills in a little bit more. So this is what we're shooting for at this point. So I am going to take and I'm going to start with this big pine tree on the island. And I am going to lightly put this in. And you don't have to make the tree exactly the same way. You have to remember nature is very forgiving to a great extent. I'm going to add a little bit more blue to it, a little bit more of the brown matter, so that I'm getting a little bit darker blue-green here as the tree comes down, because it's receiving less light. But I'm just trying to get an idea of the size and the width of the tree and the value. So I'm going to add a little bit more darkness down in here. And I'm going to do this kind of casually. So I'm kind of pushing and pulling the brush to get the boughs of the branches down. And if I feel that it's too sharp, I'll hit it with the toothbrush with a little bit of water. And then I'm going to go back over it again a little bit and add a little bit more description here and there. And I'm just very lightly touching the paper. I'm not over pressure adding too much of the brush, but I'm adding some of the darker darks in here now that it's on the wet side, so that I can retain that darkness. And then I'm coming down and I'm going to do a little bit lighter, more intermittent brush strokes down at the bottom. And then I'm going to go over to the other side and I'm going to take a little bit of the yellow, because I've got a yellowish green tree off to the side over here. And I'm going to start blocking in these secondary masses, allowing the original wash to show through. I have a little bit more darkness over here. So now the yellow and the yellow-orange are going to seem a little bit more intense than what they were, because now we have a comparison of some darks in here. And I'm connecting some of this over, washing in some of the values down towards the bottom of the island. And I'm going to add a little bit more yellow to this as we move down, because it's receiving a little bit more yellow from the light. And I'm painting still very abstract shapes. I'm not trying to paint trees per se. I'm just trying to make the values hold together on the island here a little bit more. I'm going to add some yellow and a little bit of the brown matter. And I know I'm bouncing around on you, but you will eventually get it. I'm adding some of the color down towards the bottom of the island here, where we have the trees hitting the island itself. I'm going to add a little bit more red to that. so you can start to see the different combinations that are happening. And I'm going to take this reddish color, and with my toothbrush, I'm going to spray it right in here. And I keep on looking at how the value patterns are evolving with all of this. I'm not worried about the actual trees themselves. And I'm going to take some pure yellow, and I'm going to go right up in here and add some sparkle to right over, since this is a little bit more of a thicker paint, I can add it right over the other color here. Now, at this point, I'm going to go to one of my smaller brushes here. It's the first time I'm using the round brush. And I'm going to start with some of the trees. So I'm going to take the brown matter with the blue that I have over here. And I'm going to start by putting in some of the trees, and I'm going to weave them in and out of the foliage that I've already established. So that you're seeing, you're kind of weaving it in and out. And I'm making them different sizes. And I'm making them different spaces between them. So I'm using a lot of the blue, and I'm using a lot of the brown matter. Lost for words today. But just allowing things to go in and out. I'm going to make a little bit heavier tree right here. We got a heavy reflection here, and I'm paying attention to what I put in on the bottom. As I go out into the light area, I'll use a little bit lighter trunk because it's receiving some light. So I'm keeping this very simple. I don't want to go into crazy detail. But I'm being very, very conscious of not to have the same size tree, the same separation between them, so there's a little bit more variety. You have to remember, no farmer came over the island and started planting things in rows. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to put in a little bit of cobalt blue down in here.
Dale, what color did you use for your trees?
I used a combination of the brown matter, the ultramarine blue, and a little bit of the green, so that it's picking up the colors that are in here. I'm allowing things to get lost and found within the trees itself. And I'm just suggesting trees. I'm not putting them in too defined. They're simply here to hold up the foliage. Nothing more than that. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to add some more of the blue. And I want to put the pine tree, so I got a blue-green here. And I want to support this pine mass here that I have. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to make the island a little bit darker. So I'm using the ultramarine blue and the brown matter mixed in with a little bit of the green to gray it. And I'm going to slowly put in some of these darks, not a lot. And I'm going to suggest some rocks on the shoreline just for fun. I'm not going to make it equal all the way across because that will make the eye follow that straight edge a little bit too much. So I'm just adding some darks here and there. And I'm going to come out to the end of the island here. Like so. And then I'm going to take my 1-inch brush and I want to pull up a little bit of, I'm going to squeeze out all the water out of the 1-inch brush, And I want to pull up a little bit of a light where the water hits the shore a little bit. Just ever so much, a little bit here and there. And then we have a few light trees that I'm going to lift out. And again, I'm going to allow those to weave up and in and around. And I want to bring one out, even though we don't have one coming off the island into that darkness. I want to break this area up just a little bit more. And this needs to be toned down back here. And then we have a couple fallen logs. I'm going to pull those out just for extra added suggestion. Then I'm going to go in, I'm going to paint in a little bit darker on the reflection. So the brown matter, the ultramarine blue, and a touch of the green to slightly gray it. And I'm not doing it equally all the way across. I just want to emphasize certain parts of that dark reflection. Then I'm taking a damp brush and kind of softening it here and there. And I'm just going to go in and suggest about where the trees are and this one tree mass right here. So I'm going to put the paint down and simply allow it to kind of fall off. And then I will bring the island in a little bit down at the bottom. And then I will lift out another light back here in the lake. And I think the last thing I'll do is I'll add a little bit of intensity of light hitting just a little bit at the bottom here. Because I want to have you folks have enough time to, I'm pulling out a little bit of light here and there. I want to have you all have enough time to do a little bit more on the painting before we end today. I'm going to add a few more darks in here. And a couple more darks on the shore in the background. Now, you have to remember when you put down a watercolor, it's going to appear to be darker, and as it dries lighter. So that's something that you'll learn. You have to kind of anticipate it. It can't be taught, because every brand is a little bit different, and every pigment's a little bit different. So I'm just very casually putting things in at this point. And last, I'm going to darken this up just a little bit more. But this gives you an idea how to start the painting and how to start finishing it up somewhat. So I'm going to take the tape off and see where we're at. And you always want to pull your tape away from the painting, not towards, because you could tear up some of the painting. Now, a demonstration is not what I call a finished painting. It's more of a learning tool so that you can understand what's happening and how to build the painting. So that's where we'll end this portion today, and you guys can continue painting and I can watch what you're doing.
Hi Dale, this is Julie.
Yes.
I think I'm gonna,
Oh, that turned out nice.
yeah, I'm happy with it today.
You were painting along with me, weren't you?
Yeah, I have a meeting I gotta run off to, so I was
Okay. That I understand.
speeding through it today, but it seemed to work out.
That's good. That's wonderful. Okay, good.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye. I'll see you next
Bye-bye.
week.
Dale, I have a question. This is Marianne. How did you lighten up on the shore? What
I
did
took
you use?
the 1-inch brush, or you could take a smaller brush, and I just wet it and pulled all the moisture out of it, and I simply lifted out the color with a damp brush.
Ah, okay. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anybody have any questions at all?
Not at the moment, thank you.
Okay, I am here.
I do have one, Dale.
Okay, go ahead.
Mariana.
Yeah.
Here under, in the darker area here where it should be the shoreline, it seems a little bit too red for me. How can I soften that?
You can try lifting it up, which I don't know whether it's going to lift up enough because the red is a very staining color.
Okay.
But you can lift it up a little bit, leave it dry, and add a little bit of cobalt blue on top of it. Lightly.
Oh, okay.
Just a little bit, not much.
Okay.
In the photograph, it's very light back there. And if I put it that light back there, it would come forward too much.
Okay.
In the painting that I did in the studio, which is reversed, I had this toned down quite a bit from the photograph.
I see. Okay.
So, I mean, this is a studio painting where I spent a little bit more time and I used a few more colors. I tried to simplify it doing a demonstration, but that's what came out to be to begin with.
Okay. Thank you.
And Dale, I have a question too. Typically when you're doing a painting, do you try to limit your color palette? I know you can mix colors together to get other colors, but do you try to say, I'm not going to go above this many colors?
It depends on the subject matter. I usually use on a studio painting 6 to 7 colors. You don't need to use everything you have in your drawer, of course, because you got to learn how to cross mix colors and so forth. Sometimes I will use a color palette of 4 to 5 colors. If it's a very close color combination of greens and so forth and earth colors, I will limit myself, and sometimes you get a better variety of color that way instead of adding too much. But it depends on the subject matter.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. I did this painting on Facebook Live last weekend, and I limited my colors to, I think it was 5 colors, but it was very close in temperature. There's very little warmth in here except on the house and along here, but mostly it was cool colors. So it depends on what the subject matter is. Where this one here had mostly greens. So this was very limited, but you can do a lot with limited color. Now you will be receiving a new packet by Sunday night, most likely. So you'll have more time to pull the drawing together and so forth and get your materials ready. But the first class is always running a little late because I'm waiting for the roster. In fact, 10:30 last night, I got 2 more people. And as time goes on, I explain a little bit more each time, because if I threw everything at you at once, you'd be pulling your hair out.
Who says we're not?
I see you have plenty of hair, Grace. It used to be longer, right?
I'm having a big problem with the purple, to me, what looks on the camera, purple splotch on the right-hand side. I don't know what it's supposed to be. And so I look at mine, I just have a big purple cave.
This here?
The top of it, above it.
All right, let me see what you got. It's not that dark. What you need to do is, to compensate for that, you need to add more yellow and yellow-orange in here, and that will come forward and that will recede more. But if you're having, it's not that dark from what I'm seeing on the iPad here, looking at it.
It just looks like nothing. Like a cave of nothingness.
Okay, let me bring this a little bit closer. Can you see I have hints of green in here and so forth? And then it's darker down towards the bottom. So I put a little bit of form in here, but not too much form. So maybe you don't have, from what I'm seeing, maybe you don't have enough form in here and it looks too flat.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
add some dry brushing back in here and kind of take a damp brush and manipulate it a little bit.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Teresa, how are you doing?
I'm, it's a little muddy, but I'm okay.
Well, let me see. Let me see what you have.
I'll figure it out. I have to practice more.
It's really not as bad. Your color isn't muddy. If you could tell what color it is, it's not muddy. And I could tell what color it is.
Okay.
If the color is not being able to be described, then you have mud.
Okay.
And there's two ways to mix mud or have unclean color. One way is to overmix your color where you come up with a gray, which is not a color. The other one is to put too much of an intense color next to a grayed color, and that gray color will gray down automatically by the eye. But you don't have that.
Okay.
Donna, how are you doing? That's nice. It's very casual, much looser than what I have, but it's still working fine. You're getting there. Every new subject matter will be a challenge anyways, and I like to make sure that you get a variety of challenges in class. But you're doing fine. Janet, could you hold yours up, please? We're getting down to the end, unfortunately. Okay, pretty good. Your blue in this area, Janet, right in here, is a little bit too blue. You can add a blue-violet grade down a little bit to it so it falls back. But you've got everything in the right place, which is what I'm looking at also. Good. Vanessa, how are you doing? No, no, no. All right, not bad. The reason why I picked this picture, it has a lot of intense color in it, and I want your eye to get used to seeing intense color. So we'll get you using more color as we move through this. Okay, Beth, can I see yours, please?
Yes, I have a long way to go.
Well, that's okay. Actually, you're doing quite well. This edge along through here on the painting, with
Yes.
that frilliness of the leaves, you can take your toothbrush with the cadmium yellow and hit that right on top of what you have. It's a little bit thicker paint, so it has the a little bit higher opacity than some of the other colors, the cadmium colors. But you should be able to soften that a little bit.
And I have to admit, like, does this make a difference? The only toothbrushes I have in the house are like soft bristle. So I'm getting really, really fine splatter.
You might want to get a medium or a hard.
Okay.
Like I said, I use my wife's toothbrush. I clean it, put it back, no problem. She has colored teeth once in a while. Diana, how are you doing? I'm not seeing it yet, just the top of the painting. Okay, there we are. All right. Your reflections down here in the bottom should be a little bit less descriptive. Should be a little bit more fuzzy, if you want to call it that.
Is the reflected water more of the cobalt and then the?
It's cobalt ultramarine blue with a little bit of the green in it over that kind of subdued yellow orange. Linda, can I see what you have, please? You look comfortable in your bedroom painting.
This is actually really not a good working environment right now. This isn't where I
Okay.
normally am.
All right, your blue, your ultramarine blue, and your island is a little bit too blue. You can add a little bit of the blue, the alizarin, and then add a touch of the green to it to gray it down, and it
Okay.
should fall back. But everything's in the right place. It's just you need to gray things down just a tad more to make them recede in
And it's
this
just-
area here.
Okay, to me, it's just too, and it's also too, this is too orangey yellow, and I'm not happy with the color blending that I did, like through here, and
But that's all right. It's a learning curve.
yeah.
You're
okay.
also getting the video, so if you wanted to try something over with a half of the quarter sheet,
Yeah,
you might feel more comfortable doing that.
okay.
But
Okay,
you're
thank you.
fine.
Thank you.
Deborah, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I think, where are you? A bat. Oops.
Okay. You need to weave your trees in and out of the foliage a little bit more. But you're
Yeah.
fine. I think if you take some more time with it afterwards, you'll finish it. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Yes. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Am I your 11 o'clock person? Yeah. All right. Thanks.
All right. You have a good weekend. Okay, Mariana? Not bad for your first time around.
Well, I'm happy with it. First time.
Not
It's
bad
good.
at all.
Thank
Your
you.
colors are intense. Your darks are dark enough. It's now going to be learning the control of the watercolor.
Yeah, okay.
And that does take time, so we have to always give ourselves a little bit of room before we critique ourselves too hard. But you're doing
Yeah.
fine.
Thank you.
Jermaine. Okay, your blues are a little bit too blue in here. They should have a little bit more of the alizarin, a little bit more of the green mixed with it, so it falls back. So it's a little bit too intense. But you could still go over it, or you could try it again when you get the video. But you're doing all right. You got everything in the right place. It's just a matter of cross mixing the colors a little bit differently. I can't hear what you're saying though. You're on mute, dear.
press on the space bar, Jermaine, and hold the space bar, then you can talk.
There you, oh, you had it for a minute.
Hold,
Are
yes.
holding it.
Oh, I can hear you, Jermaine.
Thank you. How do I change?
Well, you need your blue in here and across through here is too blue. You need to add a little bit more of the alizarin to it and a touch of the green to gray it down. So it means it'll fall back. What you've got going here, as far as size and shape, you're fine, but you need to cross mix your colors a little bit more.
Okay, thank you.
But you did fine, don't worry. Okay, Mary. That's nice. Nice soft pastel. It actually is working very well.
It's better than the first one.
Oh yeah. Well, you were getting back into it a year ago.
Right. So now,
You
yeah.
know, after 60 years ago.
Well, I mean, I'm not 90 yet, but okay.
No, I like what you have there. It's working.
It's starting to work. I'm pretty
yes.
excited.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very happy with that.
Thank you.
Denise, up in Milwaukee, you need to go to a German restaurant for lunch.
And the beer too.
There you go. Oh, that's nice. I'm always judging it within its own frame of reference, not what I have here, not what's on the photograph. That came out pretty good. I like it. I can't hear you though.
I had to go back in and kind of brighten my brights a little bit.
Yeah.
And then also brighten the reflection a little bit.
Yeah, just
I added some of the yellow splatter.
Yeah.
The edges to brighten it all up.
Yeah, you did really well with this.
Okay, thank you.
It's good.
Thank you.
And
I'm
finally,
gonna stop now because I'm going to mess it up.
well, you don't work too fast at the end, trust me.
No.
Slow your process down. Okay, Pat, before we sign off, I like it. Your reflection could be a little bit darker in here and less blue. That's the big thing.
Where?
Right down, the reflection of the island down into the water could be less blue or blue violet, and try to gray it down a little bit and darken it a slight bit.
Okay.
That's good.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for coming today, and we'll see you next Thursday, and expect your package to be there Sunday night.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
You too.
Bye, everybody.
Send it Sunday
Bye-bye.
morning,
Jermaine.
afternoon.
Bye.
Can you send it Sunday morning or afternoon?
I don't know when she sends it out, but I think it is going to be Sunday afternoon.
Okay, because I have to try to do it all on the weekend if at all possible.
Oh yeah, it will be on the weekend, trust me.
Okay, great. Thank
It
you.
might even be tonight. I'm not sure what her schedule is.
Okay, super. Well, thank you. And you're going to send us the package for this or the?
Yes, I'm going to send you the video and everything for this, and then the new one will come out by Sunday.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you
This one
very
should
much.
come fairly quick, though. It should be no later than tomorrow night.
No problem. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a good weekend.
You as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Good night, Vanessa. Say good night, Vanessa.
Night, Dale.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
You bet.